Hello everyone, I'm Bhavna Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, GemTech Greater Noida. In Management Accounting, we have started with applications of marginal costing. We'll discuss few other applications in today's lecture. First, we'll discuss the change versus status quo. Now, generally what happens is that a business is faced with problem of continuing with the existing policies or continue with the existing ones or change to the new ones. So when there is any such change, it may reduce the selling price or may not reduce the selling price. So whenever such decision is taken, then the management has to keep in view the long-term interest of the firm. For example, it may be disadvantageous to sell a product below its marginal cost, but sometimes management may have to resort to this practice for the survival of the firm. So there are certain there are specific items of cost and benefits which the management should take into account while taking this kind of decision. Like there are items of differential cost, like there can be increase in operating cost, there can be increase in fixed cost, or there can be certain differential benefits, like there can be increase in contribution, there can be tax benefits, there can be saving in certain operating cost. So uh, for this kind of decision also marginal costing can be applied, whether the existing policy is giving us a good contribution, or when we are going to change the policy that you are going to give the better contribution. So obviously which of the two alternatives are giving more contribution would be chosen. Now next is expand or contract decision. Now the business may decide whether to go for expansion or for contraction. Now, the expansion of the business operations, it results in the economies of scale, greater flexibility, lower fixed cost, greater capacity of the firm to meet the customer specifications. Now, expansions also brings various problems like organizational problems, communication problems, more complex, delegation of authority, responsibility may become more confused. So, since the profit maximization is the organization's primary goal, so expansion of the business operations has to be viewed from that point of view. So, expansion may result in heavy fixed costs. It means the sales volume have to be increased for meeting such costs. So management must make sure that market will absorb the additional volume of required sales. Now, last type of decision is shut down or continue. So the firm also has to decide whether to shut down a particular business or continue with a particular business. So a business may be confronted with a problem of suspending its business operations, maybe for temporary period or permanently closing down. Now, permanent closure of business is very drastic decision, and it should be carried out only in the extreme circumstances. So generally, the company decides for a temporary shutdown, and there are certain again items of cost and benefits that should be considered by the business when deciding about the temporary shutdown of the plant. So there are certain items of cost like setting up cost, loss of goodwill, loss of market, the retrenchment, compensation to workers, effect on certain fixed cost, or the storing of the plant cost. And there are certain items of benefits also, like there, there can be savings in fixed cost. We can avoid the operating losses. There can be savings in the indirect cost, like obviously when there is shutdown, there be no expenses on repairs or maintenance or light, etc. Then the company may decide for permanent closing down. So a business wants to earn a reasonable return on its investment. So in case business is not earning enough to compensate for the risk involved in it, then it may be closed down permanently. So in order to decide whether to continue the operations or abandon the project, a comparison should be made between the revenues which are getting from the continued operations or revenues from complete closings down or sale of the plant. So a comparison has to be done that how much revenue you are going to earn when you are going to sell off the particular plant or when we are continuing with that plant. So obviously the business should be closed down if the amount of revenue in the event of closing down is more than the amount of revenue from continued operations of the business. So here also we can apply marginal costing to take such decisions. So in this lecture, we have discussed few applications of marginal costing, that is the expansion or contraction decision, shutdown or continue decision, and change versus status quo decision. So here we have completed with all the applications of marginal cost. Thank you. That's all for today.